Hello and welcome to episode 9 of Fire Walk with Us, a Twin Peaks podcast. I'm Paul.
I'm Dave.
And Justin.
Alrighty, so this week we watched the Season 2 premiere, May the Giant Be With You. Quick plot synopsis. As Cooper lies bleeding from his serious gunshot wound, he has a vision of a mysterious giant who helps him with the investigation. Albert Rosenfield arrives in Twin Peaks the next morning to assist Cooper and to investigate his attack. Meanwhile, Leland Palmer's hair suddenly turned white, and he continues to act in an unusual way. James remains in jail after being framed by Bobby, who plants Leo's stash of cocaine in James' bicycle. Or motorcycle.
Bicycle?
I had a brain fart. Big Ed maintains a close watch on Nadine, who, after a suicide attempt, is left in a comatose state. Leo remains in a coma after being shot by Hank. The sawmill, which had burned down previously, leaves Catherine and Josie missing, and Shelley and Pete in the hospital after barely escaping the fire. Donna decides to look into the Meals on Wheels program that Laura worked at.
Sure, I mean, that's basically the general summary.
Yes.
Sure. But there's still a lot that happened in this episode.
Oh, yes. Because the giant wasn't the only person that ran into Cooper.
No, he had
room service come in.
Yeah, they set that up in the previous episode.
No, definitely true. And they went through with it.
Room service didn't seem to care that he was laying on the floor bleeding and all that, and hung up the phone for Cooper because Andy was being annoying. And gave him some warm milk and gave him the thumbs up and left. And came back and gave him another 2 thumbs ups.
We also got him to sign for the milk.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
You gotta get that tip.
So differently true.
Yep.
Alright, David, what did you think of the waiter?
Oh my god, why was he here?
He did it. It was him. Okay, no.
Okay, so the waiter...
How is he even human? Is he mildly senile? I'm not even sure.
Is he human? So the reason I say this is we know right after he leaves, Cooper sees the giant. And we can assume that the giant probably isn't real. Right?
Blah.
So why can't those two both not be real?
Shoot. I never bothered paying attention to those sorts of things. Because did room service actually really come in?
What do you mean?
He brought in the glass of milk that he brought in for room service. But with everything else happening within that scene, did the milk stay there? Now I'm going to have to rewatch the episode. God
That
darn
milk's
it
going
all.
to get cold.
Alright, so we get introduced to the giant.
Yes.
Yep.
And he gives Cooper 3 clues.
Yes, he does.
There's a man in a smiling bag.
The owls aren't what they seem.
Without chemicals, he points?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So we find out what the first one means in this episode.
Yes.
Which is Jacques' body in the
Body
body
bag.
bag. Which they're hanging on these hooks for some reason. That just seems weird to me.
You have to dry them out or put them in some sort of position to clean them out some way.
Yeah, but in the body bag?
Not so much in the body bag. The body bag was empty after they used it to dispose of Jacques Winnell.
I guess.
But he also takes Cooper's ring, which actually happens because when he gets up, he acknowledges that his ring is missing.
So, we're going to play a quick little game here. What do you think the other 2 clues mean? So, first off, we'll start with the owls are not what they seem. We've had a lot of talk about the owls in this show. Any idea what that might be referring to?
I think in my case, the term owls is mostly just referred to something else. The actual bird-type creature that supposedly watches is supposedly a raven or crows.
Okay. Justin, any thoughts?
I have no idea, actually.
Okay. How about without chemicals, he points?
When I supposedly thought about it and my brain thought about it, it immediately went to Dr. Jacoby, to where I vaguely remember an incident like that supposedly happening, but I think my brain was just sort of playing tricks on me and trying to find an answer for something like that.
Okay.
But nah, as it is, we probably need a bit more info on that to figure out what that means.
To me, it's just complete gibberish right now.
Well,
But I mean, he also mentioned that Leo locked inside Hungry Horse,
yes.
flew in Leo's house.
Yeah.
And all
Which
that.
comes true
Yeah, indeed.
near the end of the episode. So after the giant gives him these clues, he disappears,
Mm-hmm.
and we go to One-Eye Jack's.
Yes.
Where we see that what's her father's name again?
Ben.
Ben.
Ben Horn.
Ben Horn's about to walk in on Audrey, and Audrey covers herself up and basically just shoves him off. And
Yeah, because she's not exactly too keen on doing an incestual thing.
and well, not with her father, obviously.
Yeah.
But basically, at that point, she got a lucky break because I guess and was
Some stuff kind of came up for him.
Yeah.
something came up.
We also get two things that I don't know if you mentioned. Well, one of them or if you noticed. One of them I'm sure you did. Blackie has a drug habit.
Yes.
And did you notice in the background of her office?
The red curtains and whatnot all
Yes, red
adorned
curtains.
around it?
Same as
The
in...
Red Room?
Close to.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Yes. I have a question that when Audrey is like... She says a couple of things when Ben's in the room. How does he not recognize his own daughter's voice?
I don't know. Probably just
Or
in a
her
different
body
kind of
in general.
nonsense. Just kind of a sense within his own head. He probably hasn't really had that much sort of concern.
Yeah.
Could be the fact that maybe Audrey tried to adjust her voice to make it sound a teensy bit different, but yeah, that's definitely a decent point.
Okay. Did you have anything you wanted to bring up at this point, David?
Audrey got herself into one hell of a boiling pot of water.
Justin, do you have anything up from the beginning to now? Because I'm going to skip ahead a little bit.
Duly noted.
There really isn't a whole lot more to say right now.
So I want to skip ahead to Leland's hair,
Sure, yeah.
Yes.
That's a good point.
which has gone completely white.
Yeah.
And he's still not really all that sane.
Well, not so much crazy sane. He's a bit more sensible and more personable with everything sort of going on, but there's still that little bit of he's a teensy bit unhinged.
He's
in
singing and dancing.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, but he's doing it more so than the creepier kind of dancing he did at the start.
Well, sure, but
He's more. He seems more in control.
A little bit.
Seems,
Well, again, seems and what kind of control does he supposedly have?
So, do we have any idea what the whole thing with Leland's hair might be about?
The one particular thing that sort of came to my mind was it's sort of a sign of the suppression that he sort of put on himself for what he did. Because from how he seemed from the incident, A, he was happy he supposedly killed the person who murdered his daughter, but he still killed a person.
Yeah.
So that's kind of traumatic in those sorts of senses, and that's how his body decided to react.
This is
On
his
the other
coping
side,
methods for doing the acts or something? I don't know.
well, body is sort of coping in that sort of sense.
Like that's a real thing. Like if you get scared right proper, your hair can legitimately go white. That does happen.
The other
Yeah,
thing
that-
is it's some sort of crazy telekinetic craziness of some spirit thing within the town taking over his body.
That's ridiculous.
I kind of doubt that.
So I want to cut ahead to.
Yes.
So Madeline sees something in the carpet when she's talking to her aunt about.
Yeah, that was a bit odd.
Any
We
idea
got
what
some-
that might be about?
We got some bloodstains, people.
Was it a bloodstain? Do you think that's what it was?
Either that or a coffee spill.
I don't
Okay.
think it would be coffee. I think it would probably be more blood, because you'd probably be more afraid of blood than, like, a coffee stain.
Yeah.
Well, I think if you
supposedly.
started all of a sudden seeing some random thing appear on the carpet in front of you, you'd freak out no matter what it was.
True.
Okay, sure.
And it's
But-
just kind of the case that she was the one that saw it. but I think it's some sort of interesting sort of case where every time, aside from Cooper, someone sees some sort of crazy vision in most cases, it's within that setting.
In that house?
That room specifically, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
this house has a few oddities, seemingly.
Okay.
So there's something supposedly going on in that sort of sense.
It's all about that ceiling fan.
We get another reference to the Meals on Wheels program
Yes.
that Laura was involved with.
And something else might be involved with it, so you gotta check it out.
Yes. Mike, the one-armed man, enters the sheriff's office and says he's there to
Yes.
sell some shoes.
Yeah, that's normal. Sell Harry some shoes. Yeah.
Think he might be important coming up?
Nah.
The one particular thing that crossed my mind was Mr. Jerk detective person that was working on
Albert.
Cooper's case came in and gave a description of the person who shot him, saying that he got shot with the right hand.
Yep.
And when the one-armed man came in, I was like, "Oh, great! This guy's oh my god! He only has one arm, and it's his right arm."
And he's selling shoes.
But wait a minute. Oh, wait. I actually saw the guy beat up Dr. Jacoby, and he did have 2 arms.
Well, and plus, I'm pretty sure Cooper would be like, "Oh yeah, the guy who shot me only had one arm."
Well,
That seems like a detail you'd notice pretty quick.
No, that's definitely true.
Yeah.
Even with the shots.
So James is interviewed, and he gives some information that's going to become potentially important. He mentions that Laura made reference to a poem.
Yes.
A poem about fire.
Would you like to play with fire? Would you like to play with Bob?
Yes.
Well, that's
So, do either of you know what this poem is? You have any ideas what it might be?
not really, but it might connect with Fire Walk With Me somehow.
Okay. David, you have any ideas?
No, mostly it's just kind of a reference to Bob.
Okay.
Come up with that sort of thing. The only other particular thing that crosses my mind with that sort of context and from what I understand in the episode, summoning sequence.
Okay.
Some
So then we
demons.
get a scene with Bobby and Shelley in the hospital.
Yes.
Shelley being there because she was in the fire.
And she survived.
Breathing problems with the smoke.
Yeah, with smoke inhalation. And
That was
whatnot.
it, yes.
Yes.
I really like the scene because I think we've been pretty hard on Bobby
Yeah, a little bit.
through the first season.
Yeah, because he was
Yeah.
kind of a dingus, dumbass sort of person.
Don't eat
but-
that hospital food. Stuff's like poisonous or something.
I think he comes across really well in this scene, although he is dressed like the most stereotypical 90s person ever.
Blah.
Yeah.
I think it's also important to remember that the character's meant to be 18, even though the actor looks like he's probably 27.
Unless he's
Come decently across.
unless he's basically held back in school for a few years.
It would make sense for a guy like that.
We also get a scene with Ed and Nadine.
Yes.
We find out basically how their relationship started and everything,
Yeah.
which is, it's kind of great.
Yeah, well, great within the sense of life kind of sucks with all this stuff and
They went hunting, and apparently when
Yeah,
he
on their
shot it,
honeymoon.
ricocheted into her eye.
Yeah. I think it's really cool. And then you see a scene later of
something.
him holding her hand in the hospital. I thought it was really cool.
Plus, with that one scene, it escapes my name, but she was the other person Ed was seeing behind Nadine's
Norma.
back. Norma. Sort of walks by with Ed having feelings for her before meeting Nadine. She wanting to get out of the relationship with Hank and find something a bit different, sort of thinks, am I really going to be the person to get in between this and actually get Ed? Nah, not as it is.
Okay, at this point we find out about the smiling bag.
Yeah.
And we know now that the giant is probably telling us the truth.
Yes.
We also find out that Hank is the one who shot Leo.
Yeah, I thought that was fairly shown in the.
Well, yeah, when it actually
I guess
happened
they-
for us, but it was kind of
Yeah.
a bit more confirmed within the show.
They confirm it themselves.
Yeah. So, before we get to the final moments of the episode, I want to give you two a chance to bring up anything else you want to talk about.
Well,
So, just out of curiosity, what are the chances of a tick blocking a bullet?
Oh, they're minuscule, but it's a good joke.
very minimal. It's like, being struck by lightning while it's
Bouncing on a pogo stick while drinking a glass of Coke.
in the sun.
Okay.
Anyways.
The other particular thing was the comment from Dr. Jacoby when Cooper went to interrogate him, bringing up a particular smell that happened when the fire alarm was pulled.
Ah, yes. Like scorched
Scorched
oil.
engine oil?
So, the one particular thing that came to my mind when I thought about it was supposedly the engine oil that was on Ed or whatnot from the supposed stuff that was going on. Because I couldn't think of any other engine oil that came across that would sort of come from that. Aside from, I guess, maybe the engine oil from the motorcycle from there, but even then I don't think that would have been the case.
Okay, it could have also been Leo because he works on his truck a lot. So that's another possibility.
Indeed. And there was also a scene where Cooper gets Lucy and Andy to look through
Oh yeah,
the
Flash
Flash
World.
World magazine. Still an awkward situation for the both of them to look through.
Absolutely perfect. Oh, just remembered Andy telling Albert off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like, yay,
Hell
go
yeah.
Andy.
Yeah, Andy gets a couple of moments. He gets a moment in this episode. He gets a moment in the previous one, which is pretty great.
Indeed.
Anything else that hasn't?
Audrey's little prayer she sends out to Cooper.
That's like
It's just like, well, honey bud, you got yourself into this bloody pot. You can't just pray and wish the Cooper could help to find you. Hopefully he'll remember that note you dropped off to him. But right now you're going to have to deal with it, girl.
So we saw the red traffic light appear again.
Yes.
Over the donuts.
Yes, we did. Do you have any idea what the traffic light could be about?
No, not really.
I didn't even pay attention to that. I only remember the donuts.
I'm always noticing the traffic light whenever it shows up. It's like, okay, I'm gonna pay attention to you. Why are you here over the donuts? So, kind of don't really remember the conversation.
Okay.
No, in my case, my particular thing is the Bob scenes, and that last scene near the end of the episode. Oh boy, things gonna get a little crazy.
We didn't really see much of that girl throughout the first season, except for just the pilot episode.
Okay, so why don't we talk about the very ending of the episode?
Yeah.
Sure.
The Bob sequence.
Yeah.
So we get a glimpse inside the railway car,
Yes.
and we see Bob,
Yeah.
and we see Laura screaming,
Yeah.
which might be the most horrific thing we've seen so far. It's just like there's something about like the way her face is and like the blood and everything.
And the distorted audio.
Yeah, it's just to me that's the creepiest image so far. So what did you all think of this sequence?
Bob be crazy.
Okay.
Not too sure what's going on in this sequence, really.
Okay, so
There's definitely some screaming and stuff.
yeah, and we see Bob is quite clearly attacking someone.
Yep.
I don't know why he would be
Well, I mean,
attacking.
he's like bringing his hands down like in fists onto something.
Indeed.
So we can assume
He could be chopping wood.
he didn't have an axe in his hand. So unless he can chop it with his bare hands, I think that's not going to happen.
Oh boy.
Fine.
So now that at least it's been implied that Bob is the killer. Do we think that Bob is a physical person, or is because we get to this from Ronette being in a coma? Obviously, she witnessed and had horrible shit happen to her.
Yeah.
Do we think that Bob is real, or is Bob just like some subconscious thing that she's putting like a mask over this person that she knew?
Interesting point. No, as it is, Bob, as the character within the story, hasn't exactly been given a person to place much of anything upon. He's mostly just kind of been used as an event or some supposed spirit of the supposed thing. But that's an interesting sort of point to bring up with the character of Bob that's sort of been shown to us as a character is just kind of a manifestation of a mask that people are giving to the murderer.
Yeah, so the reason I bring this up is we notice that whenever we see Bob, it's either because somebody is in
A hallucinogenic state. Or,
or like massively distressed, like when Sarah saw him.
No.
Yeah.
Nobody just sees him walking around.
No.
So,
I mean, he probably exists in the same realm as the giant, sort of.
but do we think that the giant is real? Because again, Cooper only sees him when he's shot
or kind of in the middle of his
A
sleep.
dreaming sort
Yeah.
of state. But he can affect physical things
Yes.
around the area he's in.
So who did he give
Cooper's-
the ring to?
Again, Cooper's ring is gone.
Yes.
So, I mean, obviously, there has to be some kind of physical entity with him, but it's kind of hard to say at this point.
Okay.
Blech.
Alrighty. So, do you have any other notes to bring up, Dave?
So first thing, with how they showed off Hank in the first couple of things,
Okay.
he seems pretty calculated, knows what he's doing. That particular meeting he decides to have with Ben Horn and his bro-in-law kind of left me kind of scratching my head like, dude, are you seriously wanting to get yourself shot? Because he was not acting in any sort of way with those guys. Either that or both of them are just crazy and insane with what they have in mind.
I also just love the lighting of that scene where they both open the double doors and the light just comes on to Hank. Like, that's really cool.
It's like, sup?
It's like, I've been expecting you.
And then, of course, all the singing. As well as the piano playing. It's
yes.
definitely nice for the
Well, right
musical
before
talents.
that was like a poem about Laura.
Okay.
Laura glowing in the dark, with smiling, crying, laughing, dancing.
Think that might be important?
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to bring up?
Now, aside from the mild collapse after singing the song, yeah, nothing much else after that.
Justin, do you have anything?
Well, the giant does appear before Cooper again by the end of the episode.
Yes.
And basically just saying don't search for all the answers at once.
Oh,
So basically what we shouldn't be doing is searching for all the answers at once anyways. Should
Yeah. He's
Also-
basically telling the audience, don't expect this to get resolved next week.
yeah. And of course, also you forgot something.
What?
Her note.
Dun dun dun.
Although Cooper hasn't realized that yet.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
In all fairness, he hasn't slept in like 3 days.
That's also very true. Plus, when he actually kind of got the note, he kind of got shot and
Yeah.
kind of had other things on his mind.
He's been a little busy
Yeah.
already. So,
One person saw the third man.
yes.
3 has seen him but not his body.
Yes.
Hmm.
Any idea what that might be about?
I didn't write that one.
Or is that...
I just wrote that down just because of how absurd it sounded, and it sounded like it might mean something. I'm not quite sure what it means right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I missed that.
It's something the giant says to Cooper near the
Yeah,
end of the
one
episode.
near the end.
Yes.
Alrighty. So, Dave, who is your prime suspect right now?
Now, as I kind of said, it's Bob, but that's kind of up in the air now, with Bob supposedly being a manifestation of some sort of craziness. So, pretty much everyone else with on the list is kind of either comatose or injured in some sort of way.
And Catherine's apparently missing in action.
Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So, I want to actually talk about that quickly. Catherine, do we think she's dead? Because they didn't find a body, but she could have just burned up in the fire.
No, he was saying he was expecting a call from her, most likely saying that she was off in Seattle, where
That's
she
Josie.
takes. Oh, okay.
Catherine.
Oh, Catherine specifically.
Yeah.
No, supposedly she's gone because the gentleman in the lodge is trying to find her and sort of sends a call off to Hong Kong to sort of let people know that she might be trying to ditch out of responsibilities, or she may be dead. But
I would think if anyone would know, it would be Shelley. Probably, because she was with her in the burning building.
I'm just saying, Catherine would be an easy character to kill because nobody really suspects her of being the killer.
Mm.
It would be an easy way for them to raise the stakes because now we've had another person die. And it was the season finale, so her contract could just have been up.
Unless she was the killer, but...
Nah, but
This is true.
Nah, but that heads into a whole bunch of other sort of stuff like that sort of thing.
All right, Dave, you were talking about who you thought the killer was. Do you have anything left to add?
Nah, as it is, it's kind of chopped all the particular people that were obvious off the plate, and now it's just kind of a case of where the clues are going to point off to now. So, yeah, I'm mostly just going to have to stick with Bob because it's still kind of up in the air.
Justin, who do you think the killer is?
Probably pointing now to Audrey's father now.
Ben?
Ben.
Okay.
Ben Horn.
Do you have a motive why he might have done it?
Not really. It's just he's more connected with that One-Eyed Jack's place.
Yeah.
And kind of connected with the other the guy that died. What's his face? Jock.
Yep.
Yeah. So he has connections to people like them. I'm thinking he may have. Maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
He's highest on my suspect list.
Okay, that's interesting. So, there's something we haven't talked about in the show that I want to bring up at least briefly. And that's the music.
Yes.
Most specifically, the main theme. Do you have any comments about what you... Okay, so there is a bit of a story to the theme, but I kind of don't want to get into it because it kind of maybe spoils a little. What do you think of the main theme?
It got dark.
Yes.
Yeah. It has a dark tone to it. An underlying dark tone.
No, it got darker. Listening,
Darker. Yeah, okay.
Listening to the theme of it as it first played in this episode, near the end of it, in the last couple of credits, it started to shift a little bit more down to shadier sort of things for what was supposedly happening with its tone.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a decent point.
This is very much intentional.
I imagine.
No, it kind of makes sense. It's like, well, let's see. 2 people are comatose. 2 people are in the hospital with everything. 1 guy's dead. And all the rest of this particular stuff is going on. And we're no closer to figuring out who murdered her.
So, there's another quick thing I want to bring up. So, Bobby has a conversation with his father at the diner.
Yeah,
Yes.
indeed. And his father had basically a dream or a vision of with Bobby.
Yes.
Having one of those wonderful father-son moments of hugging and just knowing that he was a good boy.
Basically. Very
That's not the
optimistic
part
dream.
I want to bring up, though.
Okay.
We know that his father works in the military.
Wah.
And when Bobby asks him what he does, he says it's classified. Now, we know that Twin Peaks has at least potentially been a source of, shall we say, some weirdness. And he's working on a classified military project in the area. Think there might be a connection there?
Oh my dear goodness, there's the possibility.
There's always a possibility of anything happening.
I love how you're just resigned to, you know what? Yeah, it's just going to be something weird. Whatever.
There's always going to be something.
But then of course this makes the point where if any particular person that's more minded and doesn't want to believe in sort of fanciful stuff is like, oh no, that's not going to be the particular thing of it. But bringing that one particular point that it could be some sort of chemical sort of thing that causes that sort of thing that makes them intrigued, it's just like, oh, there's the possibility of that. Drawing more people into the craziness of Twin Peaks of the stuff.
Okay, so now's your chance to ask me a question if you have one that you want to ask, and I will answer if I can. Because obviously you can't ask me who the killer is or some major plot point.
Okay, is the giant real?
I can't answer that.
Damn it.
Could you by any chance give us an idea of when our next visit to the Red Room's gonna be?
I want to say we're getting there in the next 2 to 3 episodes.
Fair enough.
I don't think it's terribly long until we get back there.
Okay. Are we going to be seeing any demons in this series?
I can't answer that.
Damn it.
Now, you're asking me to give away too much.
Yeah.
I guess so.
We saw a shot of her in the last episode, but when's our next encounter with the log lady?
Well, she was in this episode briefly.
Yeah,
She was.
And she is going to be
She was eating some kind of... What was she eating?
I thought it was just like gum or something. Like a
I
big
thought-
wad of
Yeah,
gum.
and she just spat at the wall.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you exactly what episode, but she
But
is going
she's
to
still
play a
gonna be
part
vital.
in the rest of the season. Yeah.
Now she did bring
Good to
up
know.
a couple decent points.
Yes.
Yep.
Anything else?
Now I think that's it on my end.
At the very least, I think the log lady may actually know what the owls aren't what they seem may mean.
Maybe.
She has made reference to the owls.
Yes.
Most
before
definitely.
this.
The owls won't see us in here. So it refers to something, obviously.
It most certainly does.
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to give you I'm not going to call it a spoiler, but a little clue going forward.
Okay.
Bobby mentions that Laura made reference to a poem about fire. This is the poem that he's referencing. Through the darkness of futures past, the magician longs to see one chance out between two worlds. Fire, walk with me. Any idea what that might be about?
You mean aside from the supposed title of our series of all the things?
Well, yes, that's irrelevant. Within the show, any idea what it might be about?
I think it was also written on the note with...
Yes,
That
we did find a
incident.
reference to Fire Walk with Me at the crime scene.
I think the only other thing that's was zipping around in my mind is magician, but that kind of relates to a bunch of different things, so I'm not sure what that could mean within the context of Twin Peaks.
Okay.
Indeed. I don't know too many actual magicians it could be referencing.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be a literal magician.
No, I mean, I'm not saying it has to be literal. I don't know exactly what it's trying to reference, or who, or what.
Or if it is referencing anything. And it could just be a red herring.
Something tells me I doubt that. But
I'm just giving you both options.
I know.
So very true, but then of course it's the wonderful context of, oh, here's all these things, but some of them could be fake. You have fun figuring it out. Oh, why?
I have never said that I'm going to lead you down the correct path.
Not
finding
so-
the solution.
Not so much you, it's kind of just Twin Peaks in general.
Yeah, I'm just looking at what you're saying as like a metaphor or something like that.
If that's what it is.
Yes.
And everything I say you have to take with a certain grain of salt. Because I obviously can't give you the answers.
Honestly, with anything that you give us, it's kind of taking the entire salt shaker.
Fair enough. All right, David, do you have anything left to add about this episode?
Nah, I think it's good, and I'm going to have to cut down on my salt now.
Justin?
No, not entirely anymore.
Alrighty, well that will be episode 9 of Fire Walk with Us. I'm Paul.
I'm Dave.
And Justin.